The new MC is looking spicy, and I'm not talking about the path. The abilities on Kid in general aren't anything great, but they are very good for a character that can add like a DPS or a sub DPS for Remembrance teammates. We're going to be looking at the best relics, builds, teams, and line cones that will get you the best Trailblazer for M30s. What the fuck?
Alright, after that weird voice change, let's get on with the kit. The basic attack is not important, but the skill is. Summoning Mem and giving 40% charge to it, while also making it deal ice damage to all enemies. As for the talent, it is a completely passive thing that gives Mem a base of 130 speed and 80% of the Remembrance Trailblazer's max HP. Also, every 10 energy that is gained by allies in total will charge Mem by 1%, which doesn't seem much, but it will add up as the fight goes on. For the technique, it creates a 10-second field, and enemies in that field will get time stopped. In combat, enemies affected by time stop will take damage equal to some of the Remembrance Trailblazer's attack and will have their action delayed by 50%. This is just something to get your team to play first. And finally, for the ultimate, it summons Mem again and it grants it 40% charge while also enabling Mem to deal ice damage to all enemies. Now, for the summon abilities, it has a skill that deals 4 random instances of damage to the enemies and at the end will deal full AoE damage that will scale with its attack. Now, to get to the enhanced skill of the summon, we will need to talk about the talents. So, the first talent, which is also the enhanced skill as well, increases all allies' crit damage by an amount equal to 12% of Mem's crit damage plus a flat 24%. And if your charge isn't at 100%, Mem will automatically use the skill, but if it is at 100%, Mem will instantly take action and will be able to use the skill. Now, what does the enhanced skill do? It advances forward an ally while also giving them crit damage and an additional buff that additionally deals 28% true damage that comes from every time the ally attacks. Kind of like how Robin works with her ultimate. As for the other talents, when Mem is summoned, it will gain 50% charge, and when it disappears, the Trailblazer will advance forward by 25%. Nothing too crazy of a kit, just something very good and very universal for the main character. For the ability prio, you need to level up the ultimate first, since it deals the most damage, talent right after to make the max HP go as high as possible, and finally, the skill for the healing it provides. You can probably upgrade the summon stuff as well, but all you need is the talent and the skill leveled, so I will not go over it in detail. Going over to the section of the traces, we go with the small ones first, with 37% crit damage, 14% attack, and 14% HP, all being offered for completely free. All of these benefit some part of the Remembrance kit, with HP being very good if you will be playing a support Trailblazer, and to help the summon get more health. The other ones, you could probably guess why they are good. And now, moving to the big ones, Trace 1 advances the Trailblazer by 30%, and once the summon is on the field for the very first time, it will gain 40% charge. Trace 2 gives 5% charge when you use Baddie's Trouble, and Trace 3, if the ally affected by Mem's support buff goes over 100 energy, every 10 energy after that increases the true damage multiplier dealt via that buff by 2% up to 20%, which is absolutely massive. For something that is a true damage, this is a very good buff. So Aglaia can make very good use of this, with her 350 ultimate cost. Now that the kids section is over, let us take a look at some relics that are really good for the Trailblazer. 4-piece Hero of the Triumphant Song is one of the best new relics coming to Emphorius, especially for the Remembrance characters, because it gives you speed and lots of crit damage, so it clearly is insane. The other relic set is called Poet of the Morning Collapse, and as you can see, it decreases your speed, but it does give you other debuffs to compensate for that. Not sure if this is good enough to replace 4-piece Hero, but it is a relic set you can consider putting on your character. Other options are 4-piece Masketeer, 4-piece Band, the obvious again 4-piece Genius, and maybe Hunter of Glacia can kind of be used, but play at your own risk. And don't judge me here, but you kind of can use the 4-piece Sacerdos, but again, 4-piece Hero is going to be your main priority, and you need to farm that ASAP. For the planners, it is much simpler, with Wondrous Park being the best for probably all future Remembrance units, with Izumo also being good if you're playing a dual Remembrance, which you probably will with Aglaya or future characters, and Firmament can be a very good set as well, but if you play 4-piece Poet, you might not be able to gain the 160 speed it requires. So maybe don't use Poet and Firmament in the same character. And now that you know what to wear, you need to go with speed on your boots, crit damage on your body piece, and finally either a double attack on your rope and ball can be very good, as well as an attack rope and an ice ball at the same time. But what I would recommend you the most would be going energy regen to help Mem charge faster and to do more ultimates to charge it even more. As for the substats, it is very simple. Either you will need 134 speed or 160 depending on how you play them, and other than speed, you need to focus on crit damage mostly, and any attack is always welcome on a unit that is a sub DPS and can pull out some damage. Over to the team section, we have quite the lineup, so let's begin. For the Trailblazer to be a DPS, all of these supports are very good if you want to go DPS, but as a better option, Sparkle, Branya, and Sunday are better picks because they give crit damage, which again can make the summons' skill better. And Sunday, of course, is the obvious pick here since he does buff the summons. And a little side note, Tingyun is actually not a bad option since she can give some energy that will help the summon charge a little bit faster. For debuffers, it is the usual 4 to 5 characters, with Jiaoqiu and Pela being the best, one reducing the ice resistance of enemies and the other increasing the ult damage. Other debuffers like Black Swan are also very good, but they are not better than Pela, for example. So make sure to prioritize having Pela on that team instead of Black Swan and Jiaoqiu instead of anything else. For the sustainers, Huohuo is a bit better in my opinion, since the energy regen again helps with the mem charges, but other than that, Fu Xuan and Aventurine are the other options for the crit buffs they provide, and you know, Aventurine is just that good that it doesn't matter where you put him. And finally, for the synergies, we have follow-up attack units like Hunt Marts, Mutsa, Ratio. Basically, characters that attack a lot of times can deal extra true damage because of every follow-up attack they do, meaning a follow-up attack character might have a lot more fun being with the Trailblazer. Another synergy is the crit scaling DPSs, because you can provide them with crit damage, but you can't keep the uptime as much as a Branya would do, or a Sunday, or a Sparkle for example. So play at your own risk, maybe on a dual DPS comp. And finally, the Remembrance characters, that is only Aglaya for now, will benefit both themselves and the Trailblazer, since the Trailblazer will gain 8 energy every time Aglaya summon, for example, takes a turn, which again helps the summon of the Trailblazer gain more charge. After the longest segment of the video, we are moving over to the light cones, which I will just cut down very short because I have no time again. And you know, we don't really have many to go off anyway. So I'm going to list all of them with what buffs they give and what your best option is, which as you can see is Sweat Now Cry Later, because it provides the most crit damage of them all, which you will need to make your summons' skill better. If you want to know more about the light cones, make sure to go check out my video on them, and please, for the love of God, please subscribe, please, I'm begging, I can't do. Now, the Eidolons are always free, so they aren't gonna be top tier OP, but it's still a good addition to your Trailblazer. Let's see what exactly we get from these though. E1 gives 10% crit rate to all allies, and if an ally is getting buffed with that crit rate, Mem also gains 10% crit rate. E2 grants 8 energy to the Trailblazer every action that an ally summon takes, with the cooldown being the Trailblazer's next turn. E4, if an ally with no energy, like Acheron or Fei Xiao for example, use an ability, Mem will gain an additional 3% charge, and the true damage multiplier dealt by that ally via Mem support increases by 6%. It doesn't say if this only counts for no energy units, but it probably doesn't. This is probably universal. And finally, E6 makes the ultimate always crit. Not sure why, but it will crit no matter what happens. Honestly, E6 confused me a bit when I saw it first, but as a free Eidolon on a free unit, this couldn't be anything too crazy, so I kind of understand it.
Before we end the guide, we'll quickly go over the materials since almost none of them are out yet, but you can keep them in mind for when they are. You'll need the Enigmatic Ectostella to level up your character, if you haven't leveled them up already. Seed of Thought for the traces. And finally, the Fei Xiao weekly boss is needed to max the Trailblazer out.
Special thanks to Mystery Girl for voicing over some of the parts of the video.
Hi!
And thanks to you, viewer, for watching this video. I might make a herder guide, but it's not very likely. I will at least try to do that, but I will potentially try to make a Slay the Spire video with actual voice acting over it. Stick around for more videos like these, and I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas, and